I was going to do the video about bike security today, but summer's happened, and so I'm doing this instead. I was going to do this tomorrow anyway, but I'm doing it today instead. I want to talk about what I posted yesterday on social media, the Facebook groups, and that is the Engwe M20 2.0. I'd called it the Pro, but it is what it is. I think they're going with a 2.0 with a lot of stuff because obviously the Engwe engine Pro has already taken the Pro name up, so they've had to go with the 2.0 with the engines. So yeah, let's get into that. So Engwe are claiming that there's going to be a 30% increase in battery power and a 30% increase in torque. And for the math to work, I think it's going to be two 16 ampere 52 volt batteries. I also think that they're going to add in a 23 amp controller, and that's the only way I can see the torque and the battery range or the battery increase working out mathematically. So I think we're looking at a 52 volt version of the M20, which is brilliant. It'll actually be the bike that everybody wanted it to be in the first place, because let's be honest, the M20 is underpowered. For the display, I think they're going to use the display that they're using on the Engwe Engine Pro 2.0. Reason being is that if it comes to the European market, you'll be able to down tune it to whatever you want it to be. So you'll be able to set the speed limit on it. You'll be able to set the throttle at 4 mile per hour, 6 kilometer an hour max. And this leads us into pretty much a legal bike. People are saying that they hope it's a torque sensor, and I don't get that. These bikes aren't designed to be pedaled because of the geometry. So I'm predicting it's going to be a cadence sensor, and that would suit this bike down to the ground. It's perfect for a cadence sensor. The next thing is that rear shock's been updated. So it looks like an adjustable air shock, spring loaded. So that's brilliant. That's exactly what the bike needed. I genuinely don't think there's going to be two sizes of this bike, and it's the one thing that this bike could have done with, dual sizes. So this one takes you up to 5'10", and then you have a slightly larger frame for 5'10" to 6'5". That would have opened up to more happy customers, because me adjusting my bike to try and get it to fit me was murder, and it's probably why I didn't like my bike. My original M20, as much as it was modified, I never loved that bike. But maybe with this one, maybe it's a different ball game. Maybe they're thinking of offering different seats for this bike. You can upgrade the seat to have a longer, slightly higher seat, which would then put you in the 6 foot bracket, maybe 6'2". But I've never liked the seat design, so I'm kind of wondering where they're going with this. But so far, I'm quite interested in this bike. I think it's going to be the bike we always wanted. I'm going to repeat that, the bike we always wanted. The bike we always thought it would be coming out of the box. And it was always underpowered. And like I said, the frame geometry just never suited my body height. So maybe they've got a workaround for that. We'll see. As a set of predictions, this is what I'm predicting. More power, I like. More range, I like. You know, just out of the box, better suspension, I like. And like I said, this could be the bike we always expected the original M20 to be. And like I said, it was quite a disappointment to me. And I know it's quite a disappointment to quite a few other people, but it's still a very loved bike. You know, looking at some of the forums out there on Facebook, it's still a very loved bike, but it just wasn't for me. So I'm quite excited to see where this one goes, because I spent a fortune on mine. So I've explained to all of you that there's an Engwe app out there, but I don't think that's going to be happening with this bike. You'll have the app to use for, use to record your journeys and everything else, but it won't be Bluetooth. But let's be honest, it's a start somewhere. Which brings me on to the next subject. I did post this week about the cargo bike questionnaire, what they're looking at going up with. And I'm quite excited about that too. 100 Newton meters out of a 36 volt battery. That's quite impressive. So is 1 hour charging. I'm quite excited about that because take your charger with you. You can always find somewhere to charge your bike for an hour. So you're not going to have to worry about range anxiety. So with that in mind, let's look at the other things with this bike. Bluetooth connectivity, anti-theft. That's a good start. Let's be honest, it's something that we've all wanted for a while. Bluetooth app connectivity. So you'll get more functionality out of that Bluetooth app that they're designing. And I think this will be the first bike that we're going to see from Engwe with any kind of proper app relationship with the bike, rather than just being a standalone thing. And I think that's I've mentioned it before. I think that's why they're developing this app, because they need to catch up with their sort of customer base and their competition. It's something we all want. It'll also have trackability, which is also another nice thing if you get your bike stolen. And it's built in, so it's going to be a bugger to get out. So I'm quite excited about that. And the designs, I quite like some of them. But again, unless you fill these questionnaires in, you're looking at Engwe going its own way. You need to help them. Some of the things that I'd like to see on this bike, and folding bikes in general, is a quick release front wheel. It just helps with with getting the bike in the car. It's extra weight of that front wheel taken out, and if you take the battery out, it's easier to lift into the car. Especially mine. Mine's a funny angle to get into, and it's a small space. So anything helps with reducing the size of this bike. We have to see where they go next, because I'm quite excited to see what they're doing. I know they're listening. They're watching people's videos. They're watching all the Facebook pages, and they're listening. Which, until people started answering back and saying like, this is no good, this is crap, I don't want this is awful. If they weren't listening, they wouldn't be changing anything. And in the past, they didn't change anything, but they were a virtually new bike to the space, or a new popular bike to the space. I mean, they've been going a long time, but it was only over the last 3 years that they've become popular and invested in marketing. Within that, it's a big investment on their behalf. And I think with them now throwing out new ideas to the customer, asking the customer what they want, you need to do your bit. You need to fill these questionnaires in, because otherwise, like I said, they're just going to go down their own route, thinking they know what the customer wants rather than knowing what the customer wants. If you see these questionnaires pop up in your inbox, fill them in. It takes a minute to fill one in. If you really want to go down the path of having a real good think about the designs of the bikes, because they give you multiple choices, 2 minutes. But like I said, unless you help them, they can't help you. Torque sensor was another thing on that bike as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on. There's a list here of what the specs of this bike could be, or should be, or will be. I'm quite excited about that bike, because basically you'll be able to lock it to what parameters you want it to be through the app, hopefully. So you can have 15.5 mile an hour. You can have the throttle set at 4 mile an hour, 6 kilometers an hour. And within that, you make your own bike legal until you're somewhere where it doesn't matter, and then you can unlock it yourself. This comes about as legal as an e-bike gets in the UK and Europe. So like I said, if you're not bothered about speed, I've said this before, and my demographic that follow me, 40 to 65, we're not bothered about speed. We're bothered about range. We're really bothered about the legality of the bike. Because, as I've shown before, people are having their bikes taken off them, and it ain't funny. And it's the police not knowing the law, and it's people just being idiots. But in the case of this guy that I've just shown the picture of, he's just unlucky. He just had his want. So that's it. Let's see where this goes. Like I said, I'm excited. Really am genuinely excited. And let's see if my predictions pay off. We'll do another video next week, just for a laugh, and see how right I was about this bike. Anyway, have a nice weekend, everyone.